Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast. I'm Nick. We have Harrison and Sean with us tonight. How are we doing, fellas?
Good, boys. World Series time.
Good, boys. Good.
That's right. So, a lot to talk about this week. But first, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can also subscribe on YouTube. You can listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. So, before we get into the World Series update, we just had our second year anniversary, which doesn't even make sense to me. It's just crazy that we've done this for 2 years already. But it's thanks to the support from everybody out there and watching us and chiming in and really supporting our hustle. I mean, because we've put a lot of work into this and it's been a lot of fun for these past 2 years. So thank you guys. It's been awesome.
I just want to say, aside from my wife, this is the second longest relationship I've had my whole life. So
Fantastic.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's awesome. All right, let's jump right into the World Series right here. We'll start with Game 1. Obviously, Game 3 is going on right now, so you'll hear me scream, yell sporadic times. So I apologize for that right now. But yeah, Game 1. I felt like the Diamondbacks were in control of that whole game, really. I mean, they got to Eovaldi early, which, I mean, Eovaldi's been lights out in the playoffs, untouchable. And the Diamondbacks, as scrappy as they are, were able to get 4 runs off Eovaldi. You know, Rangers hung around 4-1, 4-2, and then it comes in with Sewald in the bottom of the 9th, and he gives up a walk, and you're like, yep, that's going to come back to bite. Yeah. And then this is the pitch selection that I'm going to question right now because Corey Seager is an aggressive hitter, like aggressive. He swings at a lot of first pitches, and he throws a fastball that Corey Seager turns around and hits to the moon. I just don't know if I would have thrown a fastball in that. I mean, I said it right there. I was like, why are we throwing a fastball?
Yeah.
And there it goes. He turns on it. And I mean, that whole scene from Seager was sick. I mean, he turns and yells at the dugout. Like, you don't see emotion out of this guy ever. And to see that was pretty cool. But ties it in the bottom of the 9th. Adolis Garcia hits the walk-off homer in the bottom of the 11th. And the Rangers go up 1-0. Comments on that game?
Yeah, so I don't know. I think I would question the location more than the pitch selection because and you watch it again, I just don't think he got it up as high as he wanted to get it. Like if you look at this, at Moreno's setup, I think he was trying to just, I don't want to say waste a pitch because like no one nowadays wastes pitches the way they used to, but I almost think he wanted to show him something like hard and up, like up and hard. And I just don't think he got it as up as he wanted. Fair. And that ball was absolutely hammered. But I think to your point, though, Nick, which you probably can't really argue, for a guy that's an aggressive hitter and a fantastic fastball hitter, if you're not, like, you can't miss. No. Right? Like, that's the risk that you run. Like, if you're going to throw a fastball to a guy that mashes fastballs, you have to guarantee a not miss, or else you're going to suffer the consequences. And I guess we're saying the same thing. I was thrilled that it happened, but like looking back on it, like right. You were more concerned about the location than the actual pitch selection. But I mean, I guess we're just splitting hairs here. But
yeah. Fair.
I just, to me, the symmetry between Game 1 this year and then Game 1 in 2001, the last time Arizona was in the World Series, was insanely weird for me. Did you guys see all those symmetries?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So both times in 2001 and 2023, Arizona starts on the road. Both games, George W. Bush throws out the first pitch. Both games, they give up a game-tying home run in the bottom of the 9th. Both games, they give up an opposite field walk-off in the bottom of the 11th. Like crazy.
And then in both seasons, they had a starting pitcher hit a bird.
Yeah, well, there's that too. That's right. They both hit birds. That's right. Yeah, it's weird.
And I saw that the World Series dates are all on the same time. All on the same day.
It's weird.
Oh, I didn't see that. Is that right?
The entire series is exactly mapped out the same exact way.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's creepy. But I go It's a shame because I mean the Diamondbacks threw their best punch in game one. They came out, they got it to Evaldi. The Rangers were surprised. They were even Evaldi a couple times on Ball City. He goes back to the mound. You can just see him going, "Wow!" Like I can't doesn't matter what I do, I can't seem to get these guys out. And then all game, the commentators are talking about the fact that this bullpen's been so good. They must have run the stats on Wald and these guys like 3 times how good they were. And you're like, they're just foreshadowing a problem here. Like, this is going to end up.
Yeah, the announcer curse, man. They do it. It's a thing. It's science.
And I go back to, I agree with you guys. I do question the pitch that Sewald threw, because if you're going to get beaten by a guy who's a dead red hitter, you can't throw him a challenge fastball. Like, well, that just you're feeding him what he wants. I'd almost rather you give that up on like a hanging curveball, where at least you made him adjust, than just try to pump a fastball by him and let him take it out.
True, but I guess there's 2 schools of logic. In mine, particularly on the pitching side, mine is always, when it's challenge time, if you're going to get beat with your best pitch.
Yep.
Right. So, and I don't know Sewald enough. Like, is his best pitch like a splitter type of off-speed thing, or is his best pitch his fastball?
It's a slider, I would say.
Slider. Okay. So he didn't get beat with his best pitch then. And I guess that's where maybe you question it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't know him enough to kind of know.
So Sewald gets away with his 93 because his other stuff is so dirty.
So it keeps you off balance.
It's sneaky fast. Yeah.
Like, for me, it was always like when Pedro, we're going back to 03, and Pedro Grady Little left him in too long. I think everybody and their mother can agree, should have taken him out earlier, like blah, blah, blah. But at least Pedro was getting beat on his fastballs and changeups. Now, he was mislocating, but it's not like Pedro's out there hanging curveballs that he never throws. Like, he was leaning on his best stuff, and he was mislocating, and the Yankees were hitting it. It's like, this sucks, it's awful, but he's getting beat with his best stuff.
Right.
I guess probably, Nick, would go more to your point then. Like, get beat with your best pitch. Get beat with your best pitch.
Yeah, I get you just gave up a walk, which we say all the time. 80% of walks score, and that was
especially leadoff walks.
You can't do that. You can't do that, and especially with Seager and Carter and Garcia coming up, that all can go deep. It was just it was tough to watch. But anyway,
my first reaction to it too was like the Diamondbacks took their best shot, and they coughed it up. And to me, that was an absolute momentum killer. And obviously we'll get to game 2, but to me, it was less about that loss and more about how they came back the next day, because that could have been the moment that chilled them for the rest of the series.
And, and I think that leads me almost into what and I know I'm a little bit all over the place here, but who this Diamondbacks team almost reminds me of in a way? Now, they're built a little bit differently, but like there's some similarities, a few similarities between them. They're like the 2015 Royals.
Oh, yeah.
That beat the Mets, right? It's just
totally.
like they just contact you to death. They cause havoc on the base path. And like, they're just a team that you're never comfortable with. And even if it's only like you're only down 1 and you're like, God, it's the Royals. Like, we'll be fine. But like, you're not fine, because they're there's just something about them that year. They had the really great back end of the bullpen, Wade Davis, and they were just so solid. And this Diamondbacks team almost reminds me of them. Like, if you get, whether it's Marte, Corbin, Carroll, you get them on base, absolutely be nervous, because chaos is about to ensue.
Oh, yeah, totally.
If you walk anyone, Lovulo plays small ball, but he does it with the numbers. Mm-hmm. But they hit and run. They sacrifice bunt. They have guys at the bottom of the order that just do their job. They put balls in play. It's just never a fun team to play against. And they remind me of that 2015 team who, when they went up against the Mets, people were poo-poo. Oh, the Mets pitching staff is going to roll over these guys, blah, blah, blah. And the Mets got contacted to death.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, the Diamondbacks also have, 4 or 5 straight games of 4+ stolen bases. So to your point of wreaking havoc.
It's crazy, man. It's just chaos.
You can't stop them.
Yeah, this team is a nightmare matchup, because to Sean's point, they can hit the long ball. They absolutely can. But they will single and double you to death. They will steal bases on you. I mean, I've never seen a team just so obviously wanting to steal and do it anyways. They absolutely, Sean's favorite word of chaos. They create chaos out there. It's singles and doubles. It's stolen bases. They're constantly in movement. You're never comfortable. And even a 3-run lead, they will just chip away and chip away.
And you can't tell me.
Don't stop coming.
Right. And you can't tell me that I don't care if you're a starter on a roll. I don't care if you're a bullpen that's on a heater. I don't care what. You can't tell me that on the mound you're comfortable if you have guys on base, because you're not. You're not.
No.
They can run at any time. Anybody in the lineup puts the ball in play. They're liable to sacrifice bunt in the third inning when you're not ready for it. Like, they're just like, defensively, you have to be on your toes. Pitches, you can't miss your spots. And even when you do hit your spots, sometimes you just tip your cap because they get the bat on the ball. They're built to win in the postseason, which is weird because they weren't necessarily, at least I didn't think. I'm glad they made it. I didn't necessarily think they were built to make the postseason over the course of 162, just because I didn't think the talent was quite there yet.
Yep.
But they are most certainly built for postseason.
Yep.
Certainly built for postseason.
So 3 things for me. First thing is the guy that's pitching tonight, Brandon Pfaadt, has had an up and down season, and he has come in this postseason and absolutely dealt for them.
Yep.
I don't think the Diamondbacks or the casual baseball fan was really expecting that out of him.
No.
And he has proven to be a big game pitcher right now.
The casual baseball fan didn't know who he was before the playoffs started.
Right. Number 2, Perdomo in the 9-hole. Is there this dude? Yes, he was an all-star this year. Deservedly so. His first half of the season, he was unreal. He was the sole reason the Diamondbacks won a lot of games. And if you watch his game, he's sacrifice bunted twice in the first 2 games, at least.
Yeah.
And he turns that lineup over, and he's also fast. So like, you have the bona fide second leadoff hitter in that 9-hole that gets on base, does the little things, and he is I said it before the season. I go before the series. I said Perdomo is the key for the Diamondbacks' success in this series, and he has proven so far in these first 2 games. Thirdly, they have gotten nothing out of Christian Walker.
No.
And the Diamondbacks are still there. Christian Walker is too good of a hitter to be held down for this long. He's got to break through at some point, and I have a feeling it's going to be in a big spot. He's too good. But, I mean, I can't complain with how the Diamondbacks – I mean, I could complain about game 1, but it was taken from them. The Rangers went out and they took it. But
Christian Walker.
Oh, don't tell me. There's your Walker.
Did he just?
There's your Walker moment.
Wall ball.
Whatever.
Wall ball for Walker. Yeah,
also,
I thought the ball was going out.
I should amend what I said earlier. It couldn't have been game 1 with the Yankees because the Diamondbacks had a home field. So it must have been game 3 because it was the first game in New York. Right. So it must have been game 3 because the Diamondbacks walked
so far behind.
They would have had home field. But still, yeah. But that's what you need from Walker, right? Let the ball get deep, take it the other way. He certainly has the power to do it.
He made a crazy play on that ball that bounced off the bag, though. Holy crap!
That play was nuts. All right. Let's get to game 2 because there was some crazy defensive plays in that game too. Yeah, because Walker got robbed on one down the line by Josh Young that he completely laid out for and then threw a rock at the first base.
To go back to Perdomo real quick, though, Nick, I think you nailed it with Perdomo. And we've said this a bunch of times. He has a problem in the 9-hole because he turns that lineup over. But what's more interesting is that a guy like the perfect example was, I want to say it was game 2 when Perdomo gets on, steals second, Corbin Carroll slaps a single to left, Perdomo scores. He gets on base, he gets the second. Corbin Carroll is able to drive in out of the leadoff spot. Corbin Carroll drives in a boatload of RBIs because Perdomo is always at second base.
Yeah. He's the key.
But they have the perfect manager to do what they want to do. Or you could say Lovulo has the perfect team to do what he wants to do. So it kind of complements each other, right? But you have a manager that's willing to take advantage of what test him. Test him.
That's a hose.
Test him. That is a hose. See ya, Adolis.
Well, he's got he's got the top rated arm in baseball from right field, so that was a hose.
Not a guy you test.
Wow. Not with no.
I mean, early. Maybe you test him early. Still don't love the call. I mean, as a Ranger, I love it, but I don't love the sending him. But anyway,
no outs.
That's a tough one.
The manager and the lineup, they complement each other, right? Like he is managing this team perfectly.
Yes. Absolutely.
Terrible slide. My goodness, Walker.
Oh, he is holding him. Well, it was a late hold, but
bad slide too.
Not even close. Yeah, horrible slide.
Yeah, so as you were kind of saying about game 2, Harrison, was, after losing game 1 like that, you're expecting the Diamondbacks to kind of come out and be flat, right? Because, they got punched right in the mouth.
Yeah, that one hurt.
With game 1. It hurts a lot.
They had the Rangers on the ropes, and they let them get away.
Yep. And then they come out and just absolutely dominate game 2. I mean, what was the final? 7-1, I think?
Every time 9-1. Every time it looked up,
9-1. I think it was 9.
Every time it looked up, there's another run or two on the board after the 6th inning.
Absolutely dominated in that game. Montgomery kind of came back to earth too. So that was.
But again, like, St. Eovaldi, Montgomery, like the Diamondbacks did a really good job hitting both of those guys. Why? Because they just put the bat on the ball. Yeah. Like they don't have bad at bats. They make a boatload of contact. And when you do that, balls are going to fall in, and that's what happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it just shows you the character in the room too. I mean, they were down to Philly. They didn't sweat it.
No.
And they had every reason to mail it in. Philly was in the World Series last year. They got game 6 and 7 at home.
Yeah, they're not
we're
supposed
not
to win.
Supposed to be here. We're 2 years away from being where we're supposed to be. Doesn't matter. I mean, they come out and they shove it up their hoops for 2 games. So, I mean, it just shows you the character that they have in there. I'm not totally shocked they came out. I'm surprised it was a 9-1 final. I thought Texas would have had a little bit more juice after the comeback walk-off win in game 1. I thought they would have had a little more juice for game 2. But, I mean, this is where I wanted to be. I wanted 7 games of 1 run. I mean, I didn't get a 1-run game in game 2, but we're right there, right? I mean, we're 1-1 through 2, where looks like it's going to be a good game 3. So let's ride.
Yeah. Yeah, and Merrill Kelly again just comes out.
Is Young serious?
Yeah, he literally plays the bouncer off Scherzer's back and gets him
bare hand bouncer dart across the diamond.
A ball that there's no way Young is ready to go field because it's not hit anywhere near him, and he still makes the play. I mean, that's ridiculous. Everybody talks about Matt Chapman. I mean, this Young does not get enough appreciation, respect for the glove.
Wow.
Dude, there were a couple of, and I think what Nick had alluded to it. Like game 2 had some great defensive plays, and I think the fact that the Rangers got torched, Seager had a play where it's like a soft line or to his right, and he gets it on the backhand and it couldn't plant, so he throws it like across his body, dart gets him.
Yeah, hose.
And I was texting Nick on the side, and I'm just like, that play is gross. And the announcers barely even mentioned it. They no replay, no nothing. I'm like, that is insane.
Yeah. Young lays out for one. Seager makes that play. Walker makes the weird bounce off first base. Like there's all kinds of good plays.
So so we obviously have game 3. We have 2 starters going now. What do the Rangers and Diamondbacks do for game 4, pitching wise?
But I mean, I think some of it's probably going to depend on how today goes, right?
I mean, yes,
yeah.
But I don't think either team has
right?
I don't think either team has a clear starter for the 4th game.
Right.
I mean, because if you're the Rangers, you'd normally roll somebody like Martin Perez out, who's not even on the roster, I don't believe.
No, he came in late in game 2.
Oh, that's right. He did pitch in game 2 because he would be your natural 4th starter. But
you have Heaney, you have Dane Dunning. They all.
Yeah, I think
Dunning.
Dunning came in game 2, but I don't. He didn't work too long.
That's like a bullpen session for these guys.
I think Dunning could probably go.
Heaney was a disaster when he came in.
Oh, he was
for them
terrible.
To start against the Astros.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's probably got to be Dane Dunning, right?
It would make the most sense to go with Dunning.
Yeah, and then I think it's all hands on deck for Diamondbacks in
bullpen game.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Arizona really doesn't have a 4th starter on the roster.
No. And then you bring Eovaldi and Zach Gallen back on 3 days rest, right?
Yep.
Would it be 3 days?
Then you do games
Saturday,
1, 2, and 3 again.
Sunday, Monday, 4 days rest.
4 days.
4 days.
You'll do games 1, 2, and 3 all over again.
So if the Diamondbacks go up 2-1, do you go straight to Eovaldi on 3 days rest and set him up for a possible game 7? Or vice versa for the Diamondbacks and Zach Gallen?
Right. So whoever loses tonight ends up getting them on like the short schedule.
Yeah.
I don't love the 3 days rest because those guys in game 1 worked hard. And the hard part too with World Series games is that the pressure of each pitch and the stress of each pitch, it's to just run these guys out on 3 days rest. It doesn't usually work. They don't usually pitch that well.
There's that. You're also looking at, the accumulated innings they've thrown all year matter. And then Eovaldi's not exactly a spring chicken. So there's that. I think all that comes into play on the Texas side. You know, I think you could probably get away with a little bit more with Zach Gallen because he's just younger. You know, I mean, it's probably a little bit easier for him to bounce back on that. But
if I'm the Rangers, I'm going to make my decision based on who they're starting. If they're going to have a bullpen game, I'm going to trust my offense to win this game for me, and let the pitching be what it has to be.
Yeah. Brian says you have to start Dunning in game 4.
I think I agree.
I agree.
I think I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see. I mean, the only thing that Bochy seems to like is to turn Marte around. You have the lefties with Corbin Carroll. Alec Thomas usually doesn't start with lefties. So you take those two bats kind of out of the lineup. Well, not out of the lineup, but you make them hit from the other side of the plate, you know, with Perdomo and Marte.
Lavulo trusted Alec Thomas to start against Montgomery game 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. So, I mean, he's making adjustments on that as well. But
at this point, you're riding. You're riding the hot hand more than the matchup.
Right.
Agree. Oh,
that throw by Adolis Garcia was ridiculous. We're showing the replay of it again.
Yeah, but
I could do that.
So, I said to Sean the other night, I was like, "This is going to be an instant classic." I feel like these two teams, like Arizona, is so scrappy. This offense for the Rangers is never out of it. It's going to be a fun series to watch for sure. But yeah, that's an absolute hose.
Yeah, it's. I mean, he had the top rated arm in baseball last year at the outfield. I mean, he's a monster. 23 outfield assists this year.
Yeah.
Something about those Cubans, man. They hit bombs and just have lasers attached to
They
shoulder.
do, and they all have those big personalities too that get them in trouble.
Yeah. Even outside of that, though, just like even between the lines, like you take away like just between the lines, they hit the ball a mile and they throw it 400 miles an hour. It's crazy.
He only had 23 outfield assists this year.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah, we should test him.
Bum. All right, let's move on to some managerial openings and rumors. First, we'll start with Craig Breslow officially taking the front office job with the Red Sox. And we'll throw this in there. Shohei Ohtani was seen with John Henry at a Celtics game. So we might as well just sign him now. So, you know, and just end that. So how you guys feel
Ohtani about Red Sox?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it seems like a done deal, right? So how do you guys feel about Breslow in the front office? If you have any, like, because I don't really particularly have any particular feelings about it. He's just another, you know, puppet for the owners.
Well, I think my thoughts are what we talked about last week. Like, we're getting to the end of the World Series here. We'll get into the end of the season, I should say. We're in the World Series. Whoever it's going to be, it's got to be. Like, you just got to make a move.
Yep,
it's got to be somebody. I mean, you were getting turned away left and right.
By everybody.
You know, it's not like they had this long list of opportunities. So whatever your decision is going to be, whoever you're going to offer and give the job to, you got to do it so they can get moving. You know, this isn't a team that was one piece away that you can go, well, if we get the right guy, they can get us the right piece and we're right back in the thick of it. Like, that's not really where you're sitting. So I think they just had to make a move. Whoever it's going to be, it's going to be. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know the ins and outs of what Breslow's done in his career since he's left. Like, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I'm glad they got somebody. I'm glad it's October 30th. They have somebody, and we can at least get moving to see what the offseason plan is going to be.
Yeah. From everything I've read about this, and it's pretty much unanimous around baseball that people feel like the Red Sox hired Breslow betting on who he'll turn into. So he doesn't really have he's been an assistant GM. He's been learning in Chicago. He's got a good track record and good reputation around baseball. People around the front office like him, players like him, former player himself, so he gets it. No experience running an organization, so obviously he's stepping into a whole new world. I go back to, this is the Boston Red Sox. Like, this is not the Cleveland Indians, the Minnesota Twins. Like, this is the Boston Red Sox. This is like one of the cornerstone franchises of baseball. So it's a big deal. The Red Sox are getting Breslow early. They're betting on him growing and developing into the guy. He's well respected. There's a lot of people that feel like he was the best option they had. Is he who they wanted? No. Is he the next best option? Maybe, but we'll see. The only thing I worry about is that Breslow, of the candidates, Breslow was the one that Cora endorsed, which scares me. And being so new to the role, he's going to be highly likely to be swayed by ownership. He's not going to sit in a meeting and say, no, we're not doing that because my experience says this. He doesn't have that experience to lean on. So I worry that he will be a front office puppet to the ownership group. But a lot of people around baseball say he is an up and comer who will become one of those top tier guys. I guess we'll see. But I think given what they had to pick from, he's the best choice. Now we got to see what it turns out to be. But if this ownership group doesn't get their act together and doesn't actually provide some money and some real direction on a path forward for this team, it doesn't matter who you put in that role. They're going to continue to be lost.
I was going to say he's got one hell of an offseason to start his career in.
That team's a mess.
Ohtani on the book, and
Ohtani
on the books too. Like,
why are players going to want to come to Boston after 3 last place finishes? Like, who's going to be like, yeah, I'm going to sign me in Boston. I want to come there. I mean, who's coming?
Well, it could
still
go
the Red Sox.
It could go one of two ways, right? I mean, we say he's got a hell of an offseason ahead of him. Well, I mean, you make the right moves and sign the right guys, you're an instant.
You'll be a friggin' hero.
Breslow was the right move, right? So, I mean, there's a big upside but a big downside, right? You sign all the wrong guys, and you're done. You know, you miss a guy like, I don't know, I'm just going to throw like a Zach Wheeler or somebody like that could completely change your rotation. You miss a guy like that because you're haggling over dollars, and it doesn't work out for you. You're signing your pink slip. So big upside, big downside. I mean, so we'll see how it goes. But I mean, I'm with you guys. I mean, I think it's all gonna ride on what the ownership allows him to do. Like, how much room do they give him? How much freedom do they give him to go make the moves?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing with Hunt. I mean, you can't really blame a guy when he's not given the resources that you need,
right,
to do the things that everyone knows you need to do.
Or like we've said, like, you told him what you wanted him to do. He did it. And then you're like, no, thanks. Bye.
Yeah.
But
Doug's point here, if you don't sign any of the Japanese pitchers, it's a huge mistake. The Red Sox need to sign all the pitchers. I mean, all the pitchers.
Well, that's one thing you've heard too from, like, the Patriots have Jesus, Sean. The Red Sox have a big presence over there, supposedly. I mean, that's what you hear, right? That the Red Sox are over there earlier than other teams, and they're kind of making these relationships and building these relationships and making their presence known over in Japan. And it's like, if you do that, that's a good first step. But I mean, you got to follow through, and you got to bring some of these guys over here to make an impact. Yeah, and I'm with Doug. If they don't do that, if they don't bring some of these guys over that make an impact, like, what's the point? I mean, that's a huge mistake.
I agree. The Red Sox have a history. They have Daisuke.
They do.
They did it with Yoshida. My God, I just drew a blank on him.
Get down.
It got down.
So, I mean, the Red Sox have a track record there with the Japanese guys. So, I mean, we'll see.
Well, and I think that Breslow's kind of like, and I think the parallel makes sense because he learned under Theo. This is like when the Red Sox hired Theo, a young, up and coming, high energy, high ceiling guy who you basically threw in the deep end and said, "Hey, kid, if you can swim, you got it." And Theo did. Not everybody responds to that situation, and they feel like Breslow's another guy who's cut out of that same kind of mold where he's going to come in, dig in, make good decisions, evaluate talent, move quickly. If he does, they'll be great. If he waffles, or if he and the ownership group are doing this little back and forth like Heim did, he'll drown. And I think we're going to see in the next 90 days if he's going to be the guy that gets us out of this hole. Because if they come out of the winter meetings and get to the first year with no pitching, then we're screwed.
Yeah, and I guess I'll just say, just to not to beat a dead horse, but I think the one thing that allowed Theo to be successful was ownership allowed Theo to be successful. I mean, he didn't go and spend like a drunken sailor, but he had moves that he had to make, and they let him go make it. Whether it was certain trades that he had to go make to solidify the roster, he did it. And
mama,
2000
like this next swing, Shawnee.
Later, yeah, I'm right on with you.
Wow.
Whether it's and then 07. I mean, 07, it was Daisuke. Go get him.
Yep.
Go do what you got to do to go get him. I mean, they threw a bunch of money at JD Drew, and we can argue whether it was too much money or whatever, but it was a position that they needed to fill, and they made sure they got the guy that they wanted to fill the position. Ownership allowed him to do that. If ownership allows Craig Breslow to do it, I think good things could happen. But at the end of the day, the GM can only do so much if he's not allowed to do what needs to be done.
Boy, that ball had a vapor trail on it. You cannot try to sneak a fastball by Corey Seager middle
Was
third.
that a fastball? I thought that was a breaking ball.
It looked like it was either a fastball or a cutter. It was moving, I thought. But that thing was
why we throw him on the inside part of the
hammered.
Plate. Wow.
Ball was hammered.
The right fielder didn't even move.
Didn't need to. Thing was over his head before he had a chance.
Yeah. All right. Other candidates from around the league, a little rumors here. Showalter could possibly be a candidate for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. And like Sean said earlier, like for a guy that didn't want to be part of a rebuilding team, here we go. He possibly could get a job with the Angels.
Yeah, but it proves to you that it wasn't Buck got fired in New York. He didn't say he didn't want out. He got fired.
Which I think was the inkling we had too.
Yeah, we all felt like that's what happened. And
with the wording of the whole thing, it was like I think he got fired.
Yeah, he got fired because if he's going to go to another rebuild, then why wouldn't he have just stayed in New York?
And then
Brian, Corey Seager is a bad man. He is a bad man. Do not throw that guy a pitch on the middle third. Just don't do it. Or
I don't know.
Don't do it.
I don't know why we're doing it, but all right. So this kind of goes in together. The Giants are set to hire Bob Melvin, which means that there's a San Diego Padres opening, and the two candidates are Mike Schilt and Ryan Flaherty. So Ryan Flaherty is a Maine connection. He went to Deering High School, went to Vanderbilt for college, and he's been on the bench for the Padres when it was actually like interim manager there for a few days when their whole coaching staff went down with COVID. So
right. Forgot about that.
I'm pulling for Flaherty just because of the connection, the Maine connection. I think that'd be sick, and that'd be so awesome for Maine baseball in general. A lot of good things are coming out of Maine because not baseball related. The top basketball prospect just signed with Duke. So like that's a big one too. So a lot of like athletes are starting to get some notoriety out of Maine, which is incredible. I love it. So I'm pulling for Ryan Flaherty hard. I don't know if he'll get it for being his first job. And Mike Schilt's been in the organization, I guess, forever. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that and see what happens. But yeah, pulling for him hard.
I can't imagine. I mean, just think for a second. Your very first managerial job, managing the San Diego Padres, which is loaded with massive contracts and egos and clubhouse stuff. And imagine that being your first gig.
But he's in it. He's been in it every day. So like he knows what it entails. It's not like he's coming in from a different organization and not knowing these guys at all. Like he already has a relationship with these guys.
Yeah, totally.
So
it's just he'd have his hands full, but
yeah, for sure. This other one was really interesting to me. Craig Counsell was allowed to interview with other teams. So Craig Counsell interviewed with the Mets and then also the Guardians. And it looks like the report came out today that he is more interested, or he's highly interested in the Mets job. I don't even know if I would be highly interested in the Mets job right now, but to each their own. I think he feels like his time maybe has run out in Milwaukee. I mean, like we've kind of talked about them before. They just seem to make the first round of the playoffs, take an early exit every year. They just can't get over that hump. So maybe it is a change in the manager's seat that the Brewers need. And good luck wherever Counsell goes. Or
maybe it's Counsell realizing that this is all they're ever going to be. They're going to be a team that sneaks into the playoffs, gets bounced, and that's just who they are.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I could see why a guy like Craig Counsell would be interested in New York. I mean, it's a manager that has proven he could win consistently in the league. Mm-hmm. He takes his team to the postseason. I would imagine he doesn't feel like he's in over his head managing in Major League Baseball. He feels like he not just has it down, but he's successful. He's good at it. He's a good manager. You now get yourself an owner that makes no bones about the fact that he is in it to win it. He is in it with the fans. He's in it with the team. He wants to win. He will pay whatever he has to do to get the right players in. And when changes need to happen, he makes the changes. I mean, I think you got to be a little bit wary about all right, I mean, they haven't been able to figure out the front office position in a little while. But, maybe Council's thinking well, I can help out there. I can tell you what kind of guys I need. Not that Buck couldn't, but, maybe Council excited. He's I could bring kind of a fresh perspective, a new kind of outlook on how we want to play baseball there. I could see why that would be an interesting job for somebody like him. He's never had that. No. He's never had a team to where managers I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure we win. That's got to be kind of almost a fresh outlook, I would think.
Well, I think for a manager that who's a real baseball guy like Council, I think the Mets would be attractive because you do have an owner who's committed, and it's New York. If you can win in New York, the whole world,
especially with the Mets,
right? The whole world knows about you. If I'm him from a pure baseball perspective, the Guardians is more attractive to me because you've got all that young talent that Tito groomed. But if you're looking at purely opportunity, New York is you won't beat being in New York. If you can win in New York, Boston, LA, I mean you've got it made. You will forever be a legend.
Yeah, it's fair. And then the last manager position that is open is now the Houston Astros because Dusty Baker announced his retirement. He finishes with a 26-year career, 2,183 wins, 540 win percentage. The dude he managed 4,046 games altogether.
And did you guys read his announcement where he kind of said it's not goodbye, it's see you later, I'll be back? What is his next act? Is he going to move to the front office? Is he? I was confused.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's retiring, but he's I'll be back.
So he can be probably an ambassador. So like I said, Jack McKeon, when he left the Florida Marlins, he went to the Nationals and became a senior advisor kind of to the front office there. So it could be.
Yeah, La Russa did it too. I mean, you saw La Russa. So, La Russa retired from St. Louis, and kind of had a couple of stops. I mean, he had a little time in Boston when Dombrowski was here.
Yeah,
you remember he was kind of some sort of
he was a special assistant
advisor type of role. So I mean, I could see that. I mean, he's a baseball guy. I don't think Dusty's going to be out of the game until God forbid he passes. I think it's the only time you see Dusty totally out of the game.
Yeah. I feel like the Astros are still the cream of the crop. It's an interesting time to retire, unless he really just felt like it was time for him to go. But that team's not done yet.
No.
And the next person coming in is inheriting a monster roster.
So that's the thing is now
that'll be the job to go after.
I haven't even heard of candidates.
Nothing. Not a word.
I mean,
but if I'm the Astros, I take my time.
Does Carlos Beltran go back?
If I'm the Astros, I don't know. But if I'm the Astros, I take my time. Because you said, I mean, you have a loaded roster with a ton of really, really good talent.
They're ready to win now.
Really good talent. And it's you don't need to rush things. You're not in where the Red Sox are, where it's we have a whole bunch of moves we got to make. We got to get a guy in position. No. You have.
Do the Astros have any moves to make this offseason?
You just find the right guy that can mesh with those pieces.
Right.
That's your move.
Yeah.
So take your time.
Absolutely.
Take your time. And if it's Beltran, I mean, I would love to see Beltran. I mean, I think he kind of got hosed with the Mets. I would have loved to see him as manager in New York.
He's been blackballed. I don't think he'll get an opportunity.
Probably not. Probably not. But I would love to see something like that. But it's just got to be the right piece. If they find the right piece that's not just going to ruin them, then they're not going to miss a beat.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right. We're going to move on to our trivia time here. You can put in the comments.
They should bring AJ Hinch back.
I mean, Core's available. You can bring him back too.
Damn, I would help Alex Cora Pack to get him to Houston.
Yep. Absolutely.
Are you kidding me?
Right.
I am so on the record as being a Cora apologist.
Big time.
I would hate that, man. If he just sets fire to the Red Sox organization, then he's like, later I'm going to Houston. I would be so upset with him.
Man. All right. Time for some trivia. So our trivia this week is based on World Series walk-offs. Thanks to Adolis Garcia in game 1, the idea popped in my head out of pure spite because I hated that he did it. So these are all World Series walk-off related questions.
Go to third. Go to third.
Okay.
Go to third. Go to third. Go to third. Oh, I thought about it.
In 1997, when Edgar Renteria hit his walk-off single in the World Series, who scored the winning run?
Oh, that's such a good one.
So Renteria 97.
Luis Castillo.
Nope. It's a good guess. He is an active.
No, not Miguel Cabrera.
He is active, but not as a player.
Is it Council?
It is Council. Yes, Craig Council scored the winning run in '97 on Renteria's walk-off.
Council was on that team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I always picture him on the 01 Diamondbacks World Series team. I always forget he was on 90. I was so little. I always forget he was on the 97 team.
Yeah, he started in Florida.
Wow. All right. Craig Council.
So, leave another runner on second. That's great. All right. So, sticking with that, and since the Diamondbacks are on, in 2001, the Arizona Diamondbacks walk off on the New York Yankees on Luis Gonzalez's walk-off. Who scored the winning run there?
Craig Council.
No.
Luis Castillo.
Tony Womack.
Nope.
Oh, Womack is a good call.
He hit the double to keep that inning rolling.
Okay.
But he didn't score the winning run.
Yeah, Womack hit that ball off the.
Or was it a triple? It might have been a triple.
It was a triple. It was off the fencing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Womack was my guess. Well, it has to be top of the order, right? Because wasn't Castillo the 4-hitter?
Yeah. Gonzalez, was the
Jeff Kent?
Nope, you're at the right position. Jeff Kent wasn't on that team.
No, it was right. He wasn't on that team.
Right position.
Who was the second baseman?
Second baseman.
He's known for most of his career in Pittsburgh, and then just like most of that roster.
God, who I can picture him. I can't think of what his name was though.
Jay Bell.
Yes.
Oh, Jay Bell. Yes.
Yeah,
thank
Jay
you.
Bell.
Jeff Kent. Like an idiot. Jay Bell. Yes. I had the J right.
You had me for a second with Jeff Kent. I'm like, I don't think he was on that team.
No, it was not on that team. It was Jay Bell, not Jeff Kent.
Yeah. Doug guessed Tony Womack too, but no.
Yeah, I thought Tony
Womack kept it alive. He hit that sizzler to right.
Yep. All right. I have a few more here. So when the Blue Jays won and Joe Carter hit his walk-off home run to clinch the World Series in Game 6, who did he hit his home run off from?
Oh.
It's Philly, right?
It was Philly.
Dibble?
Nope. A lefty.
I don't know who.
Cincinnati.
I don't know much on that Philly team. This one's going to be you, Harrison. I don't know much.
I know. I threw Dibble at the Cincinnati. It's not even Philadelphia.
Yeah. This guy would throw the ball so hard that he would land on his right forearm after every pitch.
I know. I can picture the play, but I can't think of who it was.
So it was Mitch Wild Thing
Williams.
Mitch Williams.
Yeah. Damn it.
Yeah.
I knew it was the hard throwing closer. I just couldn't think who it was.
Yep. Okay. Who's the only player to hit a walk-off home run in a winner-take-all World Series Game 7?
Trying to think World Series walk-offs.
This is way back in the day. It happened at Forbes Field. It's the only time in World Series history that a walk-off home run has been hit in a Game 7.
What team?
Pirates.
Pittsburgh. Joe Carter was Game 6. So it wasn't a winner-take-all. Yeah, it wasn't a winner-take-all.
Kirk Gibson was like, what, Game 2?
Game 1. I
Yeah,
think.
that
Game one,
yeah,
that's
that
right, just
just
game one.
That just won a game.
Yeah.
Was it Mazurowski?
It was Bill Mazurowski for the
Nice.
Pirates.
Mazurowski.
Yep, absolutely. All right, and the last one I have, it's kind of like a random number you're going to throw out there and see if you come close. How many times has a World Series had a clenching walk-off hit? How many times in Major League history?
So not necessarily a Game 7. They could have clinched it in Game 5 or whatever.
Right.
But a clinching walk-off hit.
Yep.
6 times.
Higher.
10.
25 times.
Lower than 25.
15.
Lower.
12.
12.
Lower.
13.
It's 11. I said
11.
lower. I said
Oh,
11.
I said lower.
than 10 and
Sorry.
lower than 12. It's
I'm sorry. I was watching the game. I thought you said higher.
Yeah.
I was watching.
So yeah, that's the
throw
only
a frisbee.
time. That's the only time. See, that's another one, Doug. Right? Bobby Thompson. Right? The shot heard around the world.
That's right.
But it wasn't in a Game 7. So that's the difference. But yes, Willie Mays was on deck. That's one of my favorite trivia questions too.
Yep.
Is who was on deck during the shot heard around the world. That's sick. But yeah, so those were my questions for this week. It kind of
11's kind of crazy too, because you think about how many World Series there have been. World Series? How many of them there's been?
Yep.
And typically, right, like the World Series is the 2 best teams in the league. So like logically you'd think a lot of these games are going to come down to late 9th inning games, right? It's close games. It's like you think that only 11, that almost seems low.
It does.
Yeah. See, I think it's kind of high, to be honest.
I guess.
I don't know.
No,
But I mean, you're right. With that
I get
logic
it, though.
of having
When
like
you
the
think
2
of all the
closest
games they've
teams,
played, yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Although I'm sure back in like the 1910s, there's no walk-off home runs because the fences were like 900 feet away.
Not just home runs, just hits. It was just walk-off hits.
Oh, it's walk-off hits, right? All walk-offs.
Not home runs, yeah, just walk-off hits.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Right?
does
I
seem
mean,
like an awfully low number.
We talked about Edgar Renteria already, Luis Gonzalez already, Mazurowski, Joe Carter. I mean, those are 4 off the top of our head. We've already
Kirk
talked
Gibson,
about.
there's 5.
No, that
wasn't a clenching.
Oh, it wasn't just any game.
Clinching.
It was to clinch a series.
Oh, I bet if we just talk off walk-off hits during, I mean, I bet you that's a huge number.
It's got to be.
But just walk-off to clinch. I mean, I guess maybe that
yeah,
is what
actually,
makes
I guess in that
high,
case, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Rounding
only
third.
so many clinching games.
Yeah. Rounding third question was the poll question this week was just straight up, who wins the World Series? So obviously I'm pulling for the Diamondbacks. Sean's pulling for the Rangers.
I'm Switzerland.
Harrison, Switzerland. We actually have
Harrison's here for the chaos.
Yeah, I'm just here to watch you guys go through it. But I mean, honestly, I think the Rangers win it. But I find myself pulling more and more for the D-backs because I just find them fun to watch.
Yeah, of course.
So we had 19 votes and we had 8 for the Diamondbacks and 11 for the Rangers. So even then, I mean, yeah, it's in favor of the Rangers, but it's still kind of split down the middle
definitive.
a little bit there. Yeah, but
it's funny because it's 2 very different teams, like very different play styles, very different roster construction, like, and they're polar opposites.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Heading home, I only have one thing for heading home this week because, I mean, it's been kind of a slow news week just because of the World Series. You usually don't have a ton of news. It was released that the MLB is highly considering the automated strike zone for 2025. So not next summer, but the summer after. They are looking to switch to the automated strike zone. Feelings? Question mark?
Thank you.
Feelings about if we're doing it, or feelings about
fair.
The timing around the announcement?
Yes.
I think people, social media, public opinion is pretty low on umpires right now, right? Like really the only time we hear about umpires is when there's horrible calls. Major League Baseball is, for all their faults, I don't think they're stupid people.
That being said, game 2's home plate umpire was atrocious.
Yep.
It was bad. It was bad.
Both teams, really bad.
It was equally bad.
The timing of the announcement is like a Hey,
For all Angel Hernandez games, gotta love it. I'm with you there, Doug.
For sure.
I think you can eliminate Angel Hernandez completely and just go to the automated strike zone.
Oh, but only where he is. So like
only him. Yeah.
When he's umpiring third, we have umpires everywhere else, but we just have no one at third. Which like, well, we'll wing it because it can't be worse than when he's up there.
He's just a cardboard cutout with just an out symbol.
It's like 2020. He's just a cardboard cutout out there.
I don't know. I don't know. It's such an old man take for me, but like umpires, officials, like it's part of the game. Like it's part of the game. Now it sucks when horrific umpiring like ends up costing you like a chance to win. In over the course of 162, it's one thing. I mean, you get to these games where it's like one loss costs you a championship.
Max Scherzer is done. He's hurt.
But I'm not entirely sure they ever go through with it. I think this is an appeasing type of thing to the fans. I think it's an appeasing type of thing to like the media in general, to the public. I think they bring it in 2025. They test it in minor league baseball for a couple of years. They give you all sorts of proof about how it's not that much better than real umpires. You're going to start to get all these stats about how, it didn't really impact the game for the better and this, that, and the other. And then I don't think it ever makes it up to Major League Baseball, at least anytime remotely soon.
Yeah, there's no way the Umpires Association lets this go through without a massive fight.
See, my feelings on it is like, even 10, 15 years ago, like hitters were able to adjust to yes, they need to fly Max back to the retirement home.
Dude, I love Max Scherzer. The dude's done. He's done. Just call it what it is. He's done.
Where was I going?
Dude, he took a line drive off the outside of his elbow.
Yeah, he's fine.
Cry me a river.
So it's the World Series, dude. It's the World Series, dude.
He came out for the next inning and pitched.
Okay, throw lefty. Okay, anyways. My view on it is, 10, 15 years ago, hitters were able to adjust to an umpire strike zone.
Yeah.
The pitchers now are all throwing 100 miles an hour with 20 inches of, horizontal movement. The hitters can't adjust to umpires' zones as they could back in the day.
Well, I agree with you, but I honestly think it has less to do with
the hitters as it does the optics of the game.
No. I think what you just said, I agree. I think hitters have a harder time now adjusting to zones, but I don't think it has any more to do with the velocity. I think it has more to do with that the umpires nowadays are not nearly as consistent with what their zones are. Yeah, they change from inning to inning. At least back in
look at Game 2 of the World Series.
15 years ago, umpires may have had bad zones, but they were consistent all game long with a bad zone. So you got up for your third at bat. It's like, listen, I don't think it's a strike, but it's been a strike all game.
Yeah.
So I have to adjust. Now all of a sudden, it's like low strike has been a strike all game long, but now they bring in a sinker baller out of the bullpen. Now all of a sudden, oh no, now it's a ball. It's like, well, that's not fair to the pitcher or the hitters.
Yeah.
Like I just think the umpiring overall lately, the past handful of years, has just been more inconsistent. I don't even want to use the word bad, but it's just been more inconsistent. How can you expect these guys to adjust if you don't even know what your zone is from inning to inning?
So interesting take here. Do you think the umpires are, quote unquote, too old to kind of adjust to the amount of talent there is on the mound? Like they're not picking up the ball, they're not seeing the ball well? Because I mean, just look at the past 5 years alone with the velocity of these pitchers coming up. And I mean,
you had that one umpire who was one pitch away from a perfect game. I mean, there are guys that are really, really clean with a strike zone. There are others that are not really clean with a strike zone. But
it's just too few and far between.
Exactly. I will say that being an umpire in Major League Baseball with the velocity and movement of these pitches is really freaking hard. And we sit here and we rag on these guys, and what we all know full well, that's a really difficult freaking job. So I think there's a portion of this that is the game's changing. It's getting harder. The ball moves faster. It moves a lot more. I think there's also wild inconsistency in what the strike zone is, umpire to umpire. And I think there are too many critical calls in games that there's no mechanism to fix.
Yeah.
And this at least gives them the chance to get critical calls right.
Yeah.
It's effectively it's the safety net. When they screw up, they can fix it.
Yep. And I don't hate it. I
don't hate it either. I think it's good.
I'd just be surprised if it ever makes it to the top level.
Yeah,
that's all.
I'm with you, Sean. I'm skeptical as hell. I don't know how the Umpires Association doesn't fight this one to the death. This will be the hill they die on.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before. The worst thing that could have happened to umpires was networks putting up that box.
Yeah,
it's the worst thing they could have ever done.
Because everyone thinks they're a great umpire now.
Well, I mean, dude, like that was a quarter-inch off the plate. That should have been a ball.
Back tightness. It's not even the elbow. All right, so I'll go back to it's the World Series. I mean, if it's my whole thing with Max, as I was going to say, and I was going to kind of Neil Bryan here, where it's like, yeah, it is the World Series, but let's say he gets out there in the bottom of the fourth, and because of his arm, let's say he hangs 2 sliders and give up back-to-back bombs. Now everyone's like, what's he doing out there? Yeah. So, but if it's back tightness, you just got to battle through it. Dude.
Okay.
Yeah,
he's a billion.
Will Smith pitched with a broken leg. Okay. And then Gregory Campbell finished his shift after breaking his leg in the Stanley Cup final. So he's got a little bit of muscle soreness.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm agreeing with you.
Somebody give Max a quick rub down and send him back out.
On his back.
I was not suggesting anything else, Sean.
Okay, thank you. Just to be clear.
I mean, but in reality,
whatever helps. It's a World Series.
Max Scherzer has the arm. Max Scherzer has the arm of a 37-year-old and the back of a 72-year-old.
Yeah,
that guy has constant back problems.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man.
It really is. I mean, we're watching a guy like literally just like limp to the end of his career because he just physically can't do it.
I mean, aside from the occasional, he had a couple of misses here that got hit, but no damage done. And he looked like he was poised to go at least 5-6 innings.
He looked good.
It's a shame.
Yep. It's consistent with him. There's always friggin' something. Although John Gray, it's not bad to go to John Gray as your backup.
No, and he would have been a sneaky choice for a game 4 if he was able to go this whole game without being used. Yeah. I have no idea if Bochy's plan was to go to him regardless of the inning. But
yeah, maybe.
But that would have been a sneaky choice for a game 4 too.
That would have, because John Gray is an accomplished starter. He's a good guy to be sitting on your roster. I mean, don't forget the Rangers started the season with like 7 starting pitchers.
Oh yeah,
they had everybody. They had all the starters, and then through attrition, they only had 4 guys by the time the season ended.
But again, I mean, that's smart. That's knowing your personnel. Hey, we can't go in with 5 guys.
That's what I'm saying.
Because we have guys that get hurt. We have to have
the Red Sox. The Red Sox this offseason need to go sign 5 starters, hoping that of the 7 they have, they end up with 5.
Yeah.
You need to sign all the starters, every one of them.
All right, that's all I had for this week. Do you guys have anything to add before we wrap it up?
Just a couple quick items. So we saw Aaron Judge win the Clemente Award for philanthropy early during this game. The guy does a lot. Hats off to him. Adam Wainwright has officially retired.
Good career.
Did you see so like when you're filling out your retirement paperwork, it says reason for retirement.
He got a puppy.
He said, I got a puppy.
Yep. Oh, that's funny.
His reason for retiring was because he got a puppy.
That's funny.
And then I want to mention the fact that we've talked a lot about the playoff format, and MLB is going to examine it. They're not rushing to make any changes. And Rob Manfred actually thinks that the unpredictability of this format is what makes it so good. And they don't necessarily want to change it, but they do want to work with the teams on how to handle that time off.
So
but I actually
saw a video.
Good.
I saw a video today because they were like, oh, this playoff format's bad for baseball. And this video, which I completely agree with, was like it's because your big market teams aren't in there. It's fine, right? Like those fan bases are set in concrete. They're not going anywhere. These lower market teams, your Rangers, your Diamondbacks, your Marlins, these small market teams, are now coming into the playoffs are only going to grow their fan base.
Yeah.
So it's actually good for baseball because it's bringing more people in. Your big market teams fans are going to be there no matter what. No matter
Braves
if they win,
fans are going to be there next year,
whatever.
no matter what.
Right. I'm still a Red Sox fan. They finished 5th in the AL East. I'm not going anywhere, right? But the other teams are pulling in more people. So it's actually better for baseball that small market teams are making a deep run into the postseason than it is for your big market teams to just consistently run the table. So that whole argument of, oh, your big market teams aren't in there, it's not good for baseball. That's a lie.
I agree.
That's false.
I agree. I don't.
Yeah.
What else is it? I mean, we're going to pick this guy apart. I mean, what else is he going to say? I don't necessarily agree with it's unpredictable. I mean, I think it's pretty damn predictable.
It's been that way for a few years.
If you get a bye, you are at a significant disadvantage. I mean, I think that is pretty damn predictable. But I get what he's getting at. Like the predictability of what he's trying to get at it's the unpredictability being like, hey, like the last place wildcard team has every opportunity now to knock off the high seed, which obviously is what he's getting at. But, and I get it. And I agree with it. I do. And I agree with the idea that it's good for baseball. It's good for baseball.
It is.
And we've said that. I mean, I feel like we've been pretty consistent with that part of it. I would have liked to see, I mean, the Braves were the best team of baseball all year. I would have liked to see them make a little bit of a run. But I mean, them's the Braves. I mean, that's how it works.
Yeah. So it's nice that MLB is realizing, yes, we've got to figure this out. And Manfred saying, to your favorite thing, Sean, chaos. Manfred likes the chaos because it keeps fans watching, it brings new fans in, and it keeps small market fans engaged. So like part of this chaos
everybody
is good.
Likes chaos.
Well, and
everybody
I'm not
likes chaos.
Mad about this World Series matchup. Like it wasn't like I was sitting there going, man, I have to see the Braves and the Dodgers.
Right.
But when your top seeds come out and go 1-9 in their first round, there's a problem.
Yeah.
So it's not that we don't like the unpredictability and the chaos. We don't like the fact that you are blatantly screwing over your top teams.
Right.
So at least MLB's
right. It's not like they all lost. Right. It's not like they all lost close series.
No,
they were all blowouts.
They won one game collectively. One game. Your top seeds won one collective game. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Like they weren't competitive because they sat for 5 days. Now, maybe there's a solution here in how they handle that time off or the way they manage the schedule or what, but at least they're looking at it. But I'm not upset with the World Series matchup we have, but I feel like your first round team buys got absolutely screwed in this format.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that for sure. But all right. Anything else for tonight, fellas?
No, I won't be here next Monday.
Why?
We're going away. I get married on Saturday.
Oh, right.
So we're going up to we got like a long weekend afterwards in New Hampshire. So I'll be up there till Tuesday. So I won't be on.
So our boy Shawnee's getting married.
Yeah.
Wow.
Run
now.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah.
Hearts are breaking.
I'd say congratulations, but I'll see you.
You'll see me there. Yeah.
I put my condolences card for Sarah in the mail.
I appreciate that.
Congratulations to you. Condolences to her.
All right.
Sounds
good.
So
it'll be just me and Harrison next week. But we got some cool things coming up.
World Series will be over.
Yeah, I know. That's a dude. And you know what's funny? So Nick and I realized it too, Harrison. If this World Series goes to a Game 7, Game 7 is Saturday night at 8:00, like in the middle of like the wedding reception. So we'll have to figure something like that out.
Is Sarah gonna like hold a phone up at the altar so you can be watching the game?
No. The whole ceremony's early.
Oh, good. All right, yeah, you're good then.
We don't have to worry about that.
Dude, we're not going to play music, though. I'm just going to plug my phone into the
you guys
play this over the loudspeaker.
The game will be on radio.
Yeah.
You guys will be around the bar just watching the game.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Absolutely. But, yeah, so I've set up a whole free agent chart. We're going to have like a little competition between the three of us. And we're going to try to guess and see where the top 25 free agents go in the offseason. So that's coming up in a couple weeks. We'll make sure Sean's back for that.
Yeah.
I might throw it out and invite a couple other people on if they're interested. We'll throw you right on the chart. We'll have a little friendly competition. and we'll go from there. But that'll be fun to kind of to do that and to see what we're kind of thinking and how that goes. So keep your eye out for that. And like I said, just keep interacting with our posts, our reels. It's been great. You know, it's growing and growing and growing. It's been awesome. So thanks again. Here's to 2 more years, fellas. So thank you again so much for hanging with me for 2 years and doing this. It's been a blast.
Oh, it's been awesome.
Let's keep it
been
rolling.
An awesome run.
And thanks to everybody again for watching. So please like, subscribe. You can share our podcast. You can listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. And Harrison and I will see you on Monday at 8 p.m.
We'll be recapping the World Series.
That's right.
All right, boys.
See ya.
Go D-backs. Go D-backs. Go D-backs.